Guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I just finished watching the Man United game, and no lie, it doesn't really look like much has changed. There were a few times when there were patterns of play, and they pressed Fulham really well, but I'm not really feeling this whole playing without a recognized center forward. They had Bruno and Mount playing the two attacking roles. And I think United fans have very high expectations of their season this year. And again, rightly so. They've made some decent signings. Euro's in, Delict is in, Mazarawi's in, Xerxes in. Um, but I think they still need defenders. I mean, not defenders. I think they still need some midfielders though. Um, if things are looking things are looking a little shaky in that midfield. So I think if they're able to get like Ugarte in, then I can say, okay, they've shored up the midfield a bit. I don't think that's enough, but the good thing is you can have Ugarte in that midfield. It kind of gives a little bit of legs in that midfield. You don't have Casemiro just being exposed by himself. But I honestly still don't see them making the top four. I'm hoping they don't make the top four, but I don't really see enough change to just even think they will make the top four. Um, but the game again, typical Man United. They play awful all game, and then somehow they scam a win, and it just happened again. Like the way I was rooting for Fulham to at least, come out with the draw. But good teams always find a way, and Xerxes came on, did what he needed. He did what he needed to do, and they got 3 points. And now they're top of the league. It's game one. It's all banter, but yeah, you see, thing is, at the end of the day, all that matters is you get 3 points. Eventually, if you're gonna have to be playing like crap, yeah, it might catch up to you. But first game of the season, listen, everyone is still kind of getting their groove in, and they did what they had to do. So again, good win for United. Um, I just Fulham had a few chances where they could have gotten something out of this game, and United also had chances where they should have finished off this game. I mean, that pass from Rashford to Garnacho, and that's just unacceptable. That's not good enough. It's really, really not good enough. But anyway, so Sunday we play Man City. I think earlier today there were reports that Rodgers is not going to play that game, which is good. Um, Oscar Bob probably going to miss a good portion of the season. I'm not sure if he would have started anyway, but losing quality like that is never good for any team anyway. So you know, I wish him speedy recovery, and that's at least two people we might not have to navigate when we play Man City. Only problem is it's still Manchester City. In as much as they might not start seasons like really well, and they might not really be on form, they might not be, just it's still Man City. And I really would have preferred like somewhat of an easier game to begin the season with. Maresca's, this is like his baptism of fire. Your first game, you're playing against the champions. And Chelsea fans, we can be impatient sometimes. But if you go into the game and style of play is good, there's effort, we could see tangible changes, and we can see that the team is actually trying. The boys are going to back it. We're going to be backing it till results are not going our way. And even with that, we might still, we can still remain optimistic. But it's going to be a big game. And like when I look at the squad we have, like the players that we potentially could put out there to play Man City, I think we have a decent team. Um, my only fear always comes down to the defense. I still think these guys can get it together. They're young. They don't really have the leadership that we had last year in Thiago Silva. Because honestly, I think if Silva had stayed one more season, it probably would have been good for us. Only because you get that leadership while you still try to learn a new system, while you still learn how to position yourself, how to make sure we're not exposed, and just learning a bit from Thiago Silva. So again, him leaving, not the best thing for us, but look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We have to go into the season ready to compete, ready to get some points, ready to defend, ready to just prove that you know what the last 2 years has been fluky and we can improve, right? So I before I even get to like the starting lineup, I want to go through like some of the recent developments, when it comes to Victor Osimhen, Joao Felix. See, my take on this has been pretty consistent. Like, I think Felix is not needed. He's definitely not someone we've gone into this summer window going, we need to sign Joao Felix. It hasn't been that. But I think this ownership like to, they like to what you call it. They like to explore opportunities that pop up. Yeah. If they feel like something could work out or turn out for the best, they like to look at that option. And with the whole Felix thing, it's like we wanted to sell Conor Gallagher to Atletico Madrid, and we needed to get a player from them. Now that player was going to be a Marodian, but again, a Marodian was really never needed. It's like you sign Gil from Barcelona, and then you sign a Marodian for another 35 mil, and then you loan out Gil, and you still have Jackson ahead of Omarodian. Oshiman, if he comes in ahead of both of them. So again, Omarodian doesn't really get the development that he needs anyway. So now he's going to be looking like a bad piece of business. So for me, that link I never really understood. And then when the whole situation came out that the deal fell through for whatever reasons, we've been told it's medical. It could be whatever it is, right? Atletico is still expecting Chelsea to get a player from them, and Felix has been offered. So, like when you look at our attacking options, I think now there's really an overload. But 2 weeks ago, we complained about potentially going into the season with Sterling and Mudryk, and those options sounded and looked underwhelming. Like Mudryk has not really hit the heights we hoped he will get to. And Sterling, let's be honest, one of the experienced leaders in that dressing room. And at points, he looks like them. He plays like the least experienced. Like a few times last year, he would have opportunities to just pass the ball to somebody else for an easy tap in. Guess what he would do? Selfishly just take this on. And some of those really did cost us points. But again, for someone he's basically played under Pep Guardiola, you've won league titles. I mean, you are one of the experienced guys in this teams to be making those mistakes. It's really unacceptable. So the thought of him and Sterling, I mean, and Mudra going into the season, it didn't seem it didn't fill me with confidence, right? And then weeks now, you've had Pedro Neto come in, who again, phenomenal player, great player, strong when it comes to his 1v1 duels. His output, when you get to that final third, when you get into the box, what are the decisions you make? He tends to make the right decisions. The biggest concern is obviously his injury issues. Now, with that being said, again, we have to see how how many minutes he gets, how he's played, how he's used. Because if you look at Neto in Wolves, he was probably their linchpin. He was probably the guy that was everything when it came to their attack. So with someone like him, if he gets injured and he's 80% fit, guess what? He's going to be thrown back into it. I don't know. This is just an assumption, but I'll say it's a fair. When you come to Chelsea, There's options. You don't have to play all the games. You don't have to complete 90 minutes in all of these games. You can be rested. You can have other people come in, and for me, that's where Joao Felix coming in. For me, I don't see him coming in as a starter. I see him coming in as an option because at the end of the day, that's still someone. Well, he's not someone who we needed to take, but he was like the make do for the deal to go through. And we all know at least 80% of the fan base, we don't want Conor Gallagher in this team. In as much as he does add tangibles, and I think he has some good qualities when it comes to like the defensive aspect of the game. It's just what the vision for the team right now does not suit his skill set. If you look at all the midfielders we have, these guys have an amount of like technicality. These guys are comfortable under pressure to be able to still make the right decision. They don't look as clumsy, possession based. A lot of these other guys we have just look like they suit the style to a T. Gallagher, on the other hand, just suits a more, I'll say, chaotic football, and just pressing, tackling, high energy, and he just doesn't really fit the profile, or he just doesn't fit the style they're trying to develop. And he's also rejected a few contract, renewal propositions. So again, I just see why they want to let him go. If and look, it's not just Chelsea doing it. Other teams are selling guys who came from the academies because even I believe Maresca said that in one of his interviews. It's not a Chelsea thing. When teams are being forced to balance their books, PSR, FFP, whatever it is, teams are going to sell the assets that are going to add just more money to the books. And Gallagher happens to be one of the guys running out of contract, doesn't want to renew. Listen, they're going to sell him. So I'm not really stoked about Felix. I just appreciate the qualities that he would add to this team. So if I had to pick between him and Omarodian coming in, which again, let's face it, Omarodian really wasn't going to get game time in my opinion, because if you already have Osimhen who's going to start the league games, Jackson is going to have to get some minutes too. So are you going to throw Jackson's minutes to Omarodian? That probably wouldn't be the best idea because somebody's still going to be underplayed. Omarodian, unfortunately, might be that guy. So with the whole Felix thing, look, I think there's news that it might be coming to a conclusion soon. I'm not sure how soon, but I think potentially it's coming. I'll pull this up, show you guys on the screen really quickly in regards to Felix. So there we go. Chelsea talked to Atletico Madrid today, and things are getting better between the clubs. It's looking quite positive. Chelsea wants to pay a lower base fee and then add-ons long term. Um, I think there were reports that Atletico Madrid were not really happy with how Chelsea's conducted themselves when it comes to the Samu deal, and tensions and potentially relationships were a bit rocky. So again, this is a positive development, and Felix played for us like 2 years ago. Had 4 goals, maybe an assist or two. Not really prolific, right? But he still has certain things that the others in this team might not. When you take away the techie ballers like Nkunku, Palmer, and Neto, some of the like the ball carrying ability, Felix definitely needs to work on his like his end product output a lot. But again, the guy has the skill set that can definitely help this team. And as long as as long as this clear and that's clear, like just tiers in terms of who's going to be a priority, who's going to start certain games and who's not. I think these guys should be fine. These are professionals. You're not going to go to any big teams with certified guarantees of like any game, like playing time. They're going to tell you, yes, we see you being an important part of this team. We see you playing a few games, starting a few games, but no one is just going to guarantee you that. Yeah, go ahead. Here are the keys to the bin. No one's going to do that. You're going to have to come in and fight for your spot. because at the end of the day, we can still do without Felix. But I don't see him wanting to stay in Madrid anyway because he's just not had a great time. He's already been on two loans since he's been there. I believe the guy's looking for a way out. He liked London when he came in. Allegedly, when he came in, he liked it. He enjoyed it, and he looked like he was comfortable. He looked like he wanted to stay, but we had to back the coach at the time, and the coach wasn't all for Felix, so we had to let him go back. And also, Atletico Madrid were still trying to have people pay so much money for Felix. So it's not like you could have went to them and gave them like a 40 million, pounds transfer value, and they're going to accept it. Atletico have always been adamant. They want to recoup some of the money they spent into the guy. They spent a lot of money on Felix, so I can understand them wanting to get their money back, but it's just not going to happen. So again, we'll see if anything happens tonight, potentially tomorrow, maybe Monday. Not sure, but if anything happens, any here we goes, we will be here. We'll cover it. And then let's go to Victor Osimhen because this is a transfer that I don't see just being done quick. It's a lot of things that are. I think it's a lot of too many moving parts in this deal to make it a lot easier. One, when we look at our wage structure, I think one of the reasons, and to be honest, when it came to like the Michael Olise deal, I think here's my opinion on that. I think he wanted to join the club, but without the Champions League um, competition that we were not playing, I believe he might have said, you know what, this is the wages you guys are trying to give me. I'm not going to accept it because you're not in the Champions League. I want X, Y, and Z more. And then they said, listen, we don't think, we think you're a good player, but we don't think you're worth us breaking the wage structure. So you went to Bayern Munich. Now, Osimhen might be a player, the leadership team look at it and go, we don't have a lot of you in the team. We're willing to see what we could do to get you in, because we haven't really had a striker for a few seasons. If you look directly at the position that Olise potentially would have played in, now we have Palmer who can play there, we have Neto who can play there, and you have Noni Madueke who can play there, and he's still here. He's not been sold. So again, I like the options we have on the wings. Whatever we have to do to get someone like an Osimhen in, and there is no guarantee Osimhen comes in and hits the ground running. Absolutely, absolutely not. Excuse me, but we can be hopeful. When you look at the type of like strikers we've had historically who have done well for the club, a lot of them have his skill set. Diogo Costa, Olivier Giroud, Didier Drogba, Nicolas Anelka, Toulouse. All of these guys have some of these, fundamentals. Physical, strong, quick, can finish. Right? Whenever we've really bought or signed really like techie strikers, or like smaller strikers, I want to call them, the tinier ones, it's just never really worked out. I think the one that worked out really, but was not even a striker, was Sturridge. But when you look at the guys who have really hit the ground running here, it's always been your DDS, your Costas, guys who can match, the physicality of the league with their gameplay. So Osimhen definitely will fit in. Um, and again, I think us having Lukaku to be able to give Napoli is going to be the key to unlocking this deal. Um, thank God for Antonio Conte. I think his love for Romelu is just going to be one of the things that really sees this deal over the line. So I'm happy. I'm happy with that. But it's looking like this is not going to be a deal. Like I said, that will be done soon. I think we might really have to go to like the ending of the transfer window. Maybe like the day off, deadline day. Then you're gonna hear, here we go, just like we did for Enzo Fernandez. This might go into like midnight before this, the whole transfer window is closed and Osimhen is announced. I don't like it because listen, if you're gonna get the guy, you might as well get him in now so that in the next couple of weeks he can, kind of bed in with the team, get an understanding of the system, the structure, how the coach wants to play. But if you guarantee me that Osimhen comes in at the end of the window, then so be it. You do what you have to do. I'll be ready for that. So that's the Osimhen news out the way. I think these are two of the biggest transfers we've been kind of looking towards. We've been looking for to have some sort of like conclusion on. So you'll see how Felix goes, how the Osimhen thing goes. I already did my Premier League predictions for the season. For those that have not seen it, let me see if I can pull it up. I had some very outrageous takes. Yeah, like I think some of you would have thought I was crazy, but I'll pull this up so you guys can see this. Actually, let's see. It's just not working. Just give me a second. Let's see. I put up my predicted starting. Well, like the positions team are going to finish. This is what I did. So again, I had Man City, finishing first, Arsenal coming in second, Liverpool finishing third. I had Chelsea in the fourth position, qualifying for Champions League. I had United fifth, Aston Villa sixth, Spurs seventh, and so forth. Now, the reason why I kind of had United fifth is because I think eventually their signings are going to gel. I think they're going to bed in. I think they would have an okay season. I feel like I probably even put them way. I feel like I put them higher up the table than they. I think they might still finish, but look, it's Man United at the end of the day. I want to give them that benefit of the doubt. I had Spurs finishing seventh, Newcastle eighth, West Ham ninth, Brighton tenth, and then again from like Crystal Palace to Leicester City. Look, I don't see Palace being in the relegation dogfight. I think that if they do keep Eze, I think the most they can finish will be 11th for me. Wolves, again, they lost Pedro Neto. They still have a few decent players out, in that team, but I just think 13th might be the best they can do, only because when you look at Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, I think those teams have strengthened more. And I just see Wolves being 13th. Forest, I don't really see Forest doing any better than 14th. Bournemouth, I put them in 15th because I think them losing Solanke is going to be a big issue. Again, I think they have signed a striker. Not sure how many goals he is going to get, but I think 15th is fine. They usually are a very hard team to play away. So I think their home form is most likely going to keep them up. I did Ipswich 16th only because if anything, if you're gonna listen to people that have watched Ipswich, because I've never really watched Ipswich a game off them. Their coach is highly rated. He was one of the guys in the run-in for the Chelsea job, so obviously they look at McKenna as someone who tactically and just as a manager can get a tune out of his teams. But again, I don't see them doing any better than Bournemouth. But I could be wrong. I did Ipswich 16th, Everton 17th, Leeds 18th, Southampton 19th, and Leicester I put them last because if word is true and they're going to have some points deductions, then I don't really see them doing I don't know how many points are going to get deducted, but I think that already they start the season with a hand tied behind their back, and it might be a lot of points to make up. They've lost their manager, they've lost one of the best players in Drewsbury Hall. Jamie Vardy is about like 38 years old, so again, we'll see how this team plays out. But this was my prediction for the league table. Now I have a very unreal, not even, yeah, let's just call it unrealistic because this was one of those that I just went with what I was feeling, no rationale behind it. But if it does happen, you can call me a genius. Um, I'll pull that up for you guys in a second. Let's see. There we go. Okay. And listen, guys, don't come for me, yeah. Because it was a hunch I was having. In this table, you see you see me putting Chelsea second. And you know what? Listen, that is very unrealistic. I'm gonna just get that out the way. I think it's super unrealistic. But but sometimes you just have to be a betting man and bet on your team. Again, I think it's unrealistic. I don't see us having a better season than Arsenal, but I would like us to. This is like my wild card. You know, Man City still winning the league. Chelsea coming second. Imagine we just for a quick second. It might not happen, but just imagine that we actually finish ahead of Arsenal. Ah, it would be sweet and ahead of Liverpool. Because as far as I'm concerned, Liverpool fans, again, they don't think they are in the same, stratospheres. Chelsea, United, Spurs, Aston Villa, Newcastle. Again, Liverpool fans do argue that they are closer to the Arsenals, the Man Cities, which again, it is true. They're definitely up there. But I just think losing someone like Club definitely plays a factor. I don't know how big it is, but I believe it's going to be big. They don't think so. So I think we'll see how the season pans out. But we're gonna go back to the Man City game because that's what this video is about. We play Man City tomorrow, um, and this will be my starting lineup for that game. I I think this is maybe the strongest team we can put out there. So I will. So my starting lineup to play Man City, Sanchez and goal. Ideally, I would have wanted to just see Jorgensen again. You bought the guy to come in and compete for the goalkeeping spot. And if everything that has been said about him is true, he's a goalkeeper that fits the style that Maresca wants to play. Good with the ball at his feet. Plays like one of the last defenders. Can go long, can go short. Good shot stopper. And again, Sanchez has really burned me from last year. I will never forgive that game against Arsenal. We were cushy, 2-0 up. We're like maybe about like a 20 something minute game to go. We were comfortable. So what did Sanchez do? Play that ball out to Rice, and then we tie that game. And I will never forget Sanchez for that because that game pissed me off so much on so many levels, only because one, we were really comfortable. Two, we hadn't beaten Arsenal in so long. So, and then three, Mudrik was dunking on Arsenal. Like, as much as he's been awful, okay, Mudrik, look, I think there's some quality in the guy. He's just never shown it. I think he's one of those people that I don't know if maybe he's going to take a few years to really just get himself into like a rhythm. Like I don't know what it is with him because like you just look at him from a profile, like he has everything you might want from a winger. He's quick, he's direct, he can pass. I think his passing is really underrated, but he doesn't do it enough. So then everything else just looks bad. So Again, I would back to the starting lineup. I would have wanted to see Jorgensen start this game. I think he's going to go with Sanchez, just because again Jorgensen is new to the league. Sanchez is again he's been here. He was injured all of last season, but I see him starting the game. I think a couple of days ago it was reported Fafana and Colwell are going to be the favorite partnership for Maresca going into the season. So Fafana, right center back, Colwell, center back, central center back for me. Cucurella, makes up that left center back role. I think depending on which fullback Maresca wants to invert into midfield, you can either have Gusto, you can either have Gusto being the right center back, Cole moving slightly to the left, Fofana, being in the center, and then Gusto inverts either with Lavia or Cucurella inverts with Lavia. Either way, one of the fullbacks is going to invert. I think in this game it might be Gusto, and I've paired Gusto with Lavia. He's looked really comfortable in preseason for someone who hadn't played a lot of games. He's looked sharp. He's looked decisive, and in his decision making, he screened the defense really well, and he looks fit. And Lavia is one of those guys that I've always said it was a big miss that we didn't have him last year because, again, you see the quality Lavia brings to this team. We missed some of that. You know, him being able to play that ball from deep, being press resistant as well, reading the game well, tackling, just I think he's going to have a big season if he can stay fit. And I know that's one thing we said, if they can stay fit. And the hope is he can give us at least 30 games out of the season ready to go. I think Lavia is going to have a big season ahead of him. And in this game, I see him playing with Gusto in midfield. The two ahead of them, I see Nkunku playing on that left 10 area. I see Enzo playing on the right side. So Enzo might be more of an 8 than a 10, and Nkunku might be more of the 10. Palma on one side. I believe he plays Sterling in this game only because Sterling seems to come alive when he plays Man City. Every other game he should, or he's just not up to it. But I think when he plays against Man City, he's always had Kyle Walker's number. He's always he's always pumped for this game. So I see him starting Sterling out of Mudrik and Neto. Neto again for me wouldn't be someone that you throw into this game. You could if you want to, because Maresca in his press conference said he's fit. So if he's fit and you've paid 50 something mil for the player, then you would assume he's going to start. But I don't think this is one of those games where if he doesn't get the start, it's a big deal. He can come in second half. You give us some quality off the bench anyway, um, and then I think we're good to go. So I'll start Sterling off that left, Palmer on that right. Jackson plays up front. I almost went with Gil only because I don't believe Jackson is fit enough and sharp enough. But if he's fit, look, I'll play Jackson. I don't see Gil being ready for the pace of the Premier League yet. But again, to his credit, he's looked great in preseason. He's looked ready. He's looked sharp. Um, so I think he's going to if Osimhen comes in and it's Jackson and Osimhen fighting for that number 9 position. Look, I think Osimhen is probably going to get that, but just based off the investment made on him. But no slack to Jackson. Then Gil might either stay here as a third option or he might be sent out alone. Again, ideally, that is someone I'd like to probably see in the squad. Give him the conference league minutes, league games, let him run that. Like even when you play in conference league, those are the games you don't even take Osimhen on those trips. Or even if you do, listen, you keep him just wrapped up. Osimhen should have no impact. He should have no business with the conference league. Osimhen, your Palmers should not have nothing to do with this conference league. Like seriously, Palmer, if Osimhen comes in, even in Kunku, yeah, Lavia, take all these guys. Don't let them play these games. You can play your Sterlings, your Nonis, your Mudriks. If Felix comes in, throw those games at Felix. You know, Drewsbury Hall, your Gills. Yeah, give those games to them. Your Viegas. Yeah, you let these guys play these minutes. But this is a team that I'm going for. Prediction. Prediction. I think. I don't think we lose awfully. I don't think we lose really badly. You know what? I'll go with a 3-2 Man City. I don't know why. I feel like there might be goals in this game. I'll go with 3-2 Man City. Yeah, I'll go for 3-2 Man City. Just because I think defensively they're probably going to catch us. They're going to catch us out a few times. You know, that playing out from the back. We haven't really looked as comfortable yet doing it. And I think Man City definitely punish us for that, for sure. So, yeah, I'll say 3-2 Man City. But I think this is one of those games where it could really be a draw. Like, we could play this game and it will be as 0-0, 1-1. Everybody gets a point and then we take it home. But I just feel like because we're still kind of getting used to the system, we're understanding, like, positional play, where you need to be, where he needs to be. You need to know what run this other player is going to make. I think 6 games hasn't given us enough time, I believe. But again, you never know. Maresca might have something on their sleeve. And on the subs bench, again, I have Neto. You could absolutely probably see him coming on. You can see Caicedo coming on, Shrewsbury Hall. I think these are the options you might, see off the bench. If we're losing, yeah, then you could probably expect to see, Nonis, Neto's on, your Caicedos. If we're winning and you want to shore it up, you can bring your buddy Achilles, you can bring your Desasi in. You want to bring Vega, Tosin, I'm not even mad. Because Viega, when we played against Inter Milan, I mean, he looked like he was ready. He looked like someone who's been waiting for his opportunity. And he, again, I think he took it, but that's just one game. The other game, I think in preseason when he came on, again, he didn't look too bad. He didn't look out of place. He has the aggression. He looks like he can pass the ball. Defending looks all right. So if we're winning and you want to shore it up, you can bring your Viegas in. I will not be mad. But that'll be my starting lineup. I'm predicting a narrow 3-2 win to Man City. If I had to go for our goal scorers, let me think who I think might get us a goal in this game. The obvious answer might be a Cole Palmer goal, maybe a penalty, which actually looks likely because Sterling did win us a few penalties last year. But if I had to go, I'll say a Palmer and Nkunku. I'll say those two are our goal scorers for this game. And for Man City, I either see Holland getting at least 2 goals, and I don't know who's going to get the third, but I just see a narrow loss. But that will be my starting 11 for this game. But guys, if this is your first time ever coming across my content, coming across my videos, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I believe I am on 63 subs. The goal, honestly, was to get about like 100 before the season started. This was like 2 months ago. But hey, the season is here. We're going to be doing a lot of watch-alongs on this channel, previews. We're going to do rival watches as well. I mean, all of it. So if you like the content, support the channel. Definitely sub to the channel. And hopefully by tonight, maybe tomorrow, we'll hear something about a Felix deal being racked up. Listen, ideally, we could get a good quality center back, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So we'll leave that alone. But guys, till next time, peace.